Hi Alia, good evening. Hi Manar. Hi Alia, hi Manar. Can you hear me? Okay, great. How are you Alia? How are you? Hi Manar. Alhamdulillah. Hi Miss Noha.
Hi, Miss Hannah. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome back. Good evening, Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. I really miss you so much. حبيبتي Alia. Miss you too, Miss Noha. Miss you all. In fact, it was a long time. Alhamdulillah, we will start again. Inshallah. Miss you so much. Hi, Miss Huda. Okay, I'll start in 2 minutes. Hi, Miss Huda. If you want to say anything, it's okay, go ahead. Because I can see you raise your hand. Okay, hi, Fatma. Hi, Fatma, how are you? Okay, I'll start. Huda, you raise your hand. It's okay if you want to say something. Miss you too, Fatma. Okay, so welcome, Huda. It's okay, Alia. It's okay. Hope your kids are fine. Hi, Miss Asma.
Hi, Shanae. How are you?
Miss you so much.
And you too.
How is your son? How are the tests?
Good.
الحمد لله.
الحمد لله.
ربنا معاهم إن شاء الله.
يا رب آخر يوم بكرة إن شاء الله.
ربنا ييسر.
إن شاء الله.
أنا كنت عارفة والله إن فيه يعني في ناس معاكم عنده ثالثة إعدادي كان المفروض تكون السيشن بكرة، بس أنا بس خفت من النت لأن غالبا النهاردة هيبقى آخر يوم في الباقة غالبا يعني، فخفت بس فقلنا نلحق اليوم. فمعلش هعطلك عنه شوية أنا عارفة يعني.
لا عادي ما يهمكيش.
Okay. I'll start now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start. Today, as you know, I sent on the WhatsApp group that we will have a session about teaching grammar, and I sent you a link on Padlet to tell me what are the topics that you want to discuss related to teaching grammar. And I think most of you wanted to discuss approaches and activities. So today, inshallah, we will discuss approaches, and I'll tell you some activities while teaching grammar. Hope you like it, inshallah. So welcome back, and we will start over our mentoring journey. And today's session is teaching grammar. I'll show you our agenda today, or our session outline. We will talk about dimensions of grammar, 3 dimensions of grammar: form, meaning, and use. The main approaches to teaching grammar that we can use in our classroom. We will talk about the presentation techniques while teaching grammar, and effective presentation. What are the features or the elements of effective presentation? And the last point, types of teaching of grammar practice activity. Okay, so the main 2 points: approaches and activities. But in the very beginning, we will talk about the dimensions of grammar: form, meaning, and use. Okay. I have just a question here before we start. Hi, Raghda. Welcome back. So let's start with this question. What comes to your mind when we talk about grammar, or when you think of grammar? What comes to your mind when you think of grammar? When you have a grammar lesson, for example? Something that comes to your mind when we talk about. Go ahead, Raghda.
Yes.
Manar,
Yes, I think that we can say that things that related to grammar, like key structure.
yes, structures.
Parts of speech.
Yes.
مثلا
We can remember key structures that we teach to our students.
Hello.
Raghda said reported.
مثلا
Yes,
was it
Raghda.
clear?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Yes, I said that when we think of grammar, we think directly about key structures and tenses and parts of speech.
Yes. So we remember the grammar items or the grammar structures like parts of speech. Yeah, that's right. And thank you, Raghda. And I think Manar in the chat box sent the word rules comes to our mind when we speak about grammars. Yes, what else?
Conjunctions.
So, conjunctions, yes. So these are the items or the structure that we teach to our students. Okay, what do you feel about teaching grammar?
I think that sometimes I enjoy when teaching grammar, and sometimes I have some problems with the children.
The challenges.
Yes, it is always a challenging. Grammar lesson is always challenging.
Yeah.
And when we get the point from the lesson, we feel enjoyed and we are enjoying with the lesson.
Exactly, yes. When we feel that we could convey the message to our students, we say, yes, we did it. Yeah, so we feel that we did a great work. Yes, exactly. Manar said how we make sentences. Yes, how to form sentences or make sentences. And as you said, Raghda, sometimes we feel that we can enjoy teaching grammar, but other times we feel that we have some challenges as teachers and our students at the same time. And this will make us move to the next question. What comes to your mind when your students think of grammar? What about your students when they know that they have a grammar lesson today? It's not a reading lesson, it's not vocabulary lesson, it's not writing lesson, it's a grammar lesson. So what comes to your students' mind when they think of the word grammar? Not you, your students.
I think some of them feel that it's difficult for them and they are going to have something difficult.
Yes, so it's
some of them.
Yeah, difficult. Some or most of them.
I think not. I think most of them, but a large amount of them feel that they are. I talk about the brilliant ones. They are enjoying. I think that.
Yes. Yeah. The high-level students enjoy
so we can say that most of them.
Yes. So most of them feel that grammar it's not that easy to learn.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Raghda. And Noha in the chat box said, yes, I think it's not as easy as teaching vocabulary. They don't have the desire to share. Yeah, students don't have, they are not motivated enough to share or participate. And Alia, backbone of the language. Yes, she talks about grammar, the backbone of language, of course. How we join sentences with each other. Yes, Manar. Yeah, thank you. Such as math. It looks like math. Yes. Okay. What else? What about your students? How do you feel that when you don't have to say that today we have a grammar lesson, but how do you feel your students think of grammar? How do they feel when you start explaining a grammar lesson? What do you think? Raghda said maybe the high-level students feel that they enjoy learning grammar, but the other students feel it's difficult to learn grammar. So, okay, let's start with the first point in our session today, the dimensions, the 3 dimensions of grammar: form, meaning, and use. And these are students learning a challenge while teaching grammar. In fact, as Raghda said, this is exactly what I wanted to say. Sometimes we feel that we enjoy teaching grammar, and other times we feel that it's difficult. It's not that easy. And the lesson won't be enjoyable enough for my students. So our students sometimes feel that they can master the grammar item or the grammar structure, and sometimes they feel that no, they have a challenge. There is a challenge for our students while teaching grammar or while they learn grammar. So sometimes we feel that it's very difficult, and sometimes we feel that, yeah, it's easy, they can do that. They can manage to understand and do activities easily. So we will ask ourselves, why does this happen? And why a grammar item or some grammar items or structures are more challenging for our students. And here the reason is the 3 dimensions of grammar: form, meaning, and use. I think these are the grammar challenges. If we understand the nature, what are the components of grammar item, what are the components of grammar structure, if we understand these dimensions, form, meaning, and use, we can identify what is the challenge for our students, okay? So for example, if we want to explain present perfect, so I have the form of present perfect, the meaning of present perfect, and the use of present perfect. So if I can say that, identify what is really challenging for my students, is form challenging for them, is meaning challenging for them, is the use of present perfect challenging for them. So if I can identify what is the really challenge for them, I can solve this problem, okay? So in the very beginning, I'd like to talk about these components, because in fact, we have the challenges while teaching grammar, the challenges here with these components. It can be form, it can be meaning, it can be the use, or sometimes it can be all of them. Sometimes we have the challenges, the 3 challenges together. And sometimes we have just 1 challenge or 2 challenges, okay? So this is why I'd like to begin or start with the nature of the 3 dimensions, or what are these components. This is why I start with talking about the 3 components. So let's start with the form, okay? The form is the visible and the audible part of a grammar item or a grammar structure, okay? So it can be the structure itself. So am is are plus verb, verb to be plus verb plus ing, or have, has plus past participle of the main verb, okay? So this is the structure. How can I form the grammar item or grammar structure? Endings. For example, what I add to the verb in present simple, s, es, ies. What I can add to the verb when I have past simple tense, so d, ed, okay? This is for regular verbs. Syntax, the word order. For example, when I wanted to describe a noun with a group of adjectives, so I have to put them into certain order. This is syntax, the word order, okay? So this is the form of the grammar item or the grammar structure. And here I have an example for the present perfect. What is the form of present perfect? It's a have or has plus the past participle of the main verb. So this is the form, okay? The first component of the grammar structure or grammar item. Let's move to another one, which is the meaning, okay? So the meaning, we have 2 types of meaning. We have the main or the essential or the core meaning of grammar item. And we have another meaning that is can be understood in a context. And here we have an example like well. We use will to express future. This is the core, the main meaning of well. We use will to express future. And in the same time, we use well to make a request, a promise, an offer. For example, here, when I say, will you carry this for me? So here I'm making a request. I don't express future. So this is for meaning, the second component, okay? And the third component is use. What is the use of the grammar structure I'm teaching to my students, okay? So here, for example, we have two sentences to show the difference between past simple and present perfect, okay? So here, my father lived here all his life. My father has lived here all his life. So if the speaker wants to tell us that his father doesn't live here anymore and he left this place, so he is supposed to use the past simple tense. My father lived here all his life. So I can understand that his father doesn't live here anymore. He left this place. But if he wanted to tell us that his father still lives here, he can say, my father has lived here for his life. So he still lives here in this place. He doesn't leave this place. So this is an example of showing the meaning of grammar structure or grammar item. And here I can show the difference for my students while asking questions. For example, I can ask them in the first one, does he live here or not? When I say my father lived here all his life. So I can make sure that they can understand the grammar item. So I can ask, when I say my father lived here all his life, so does he live here now? Yes or no? Of course, no, because he left this place. I use the past simple for a complete action in the past. So this action finished, okay? But the next one, so does he live here? Yes, he still lives here, because here we use the present perfect. So these are the three components of grammar, any grammar item or grammar structure. So when I feel, this is the point, when I feel that I have a problem with a grammar lesson, I can ask myself, which component is really a challenge for my students? And according to the answer, I can do extra activities that help our student to master this grammar item, okay? So this is the point. If I have a problem or I feel that my students find the lesson is difficult, I can ask my students which component of the grammar item or grammar structure is really challenging for them. So I have to identify which one. Is it the form, the meaning, or the use of the grammar item? Because according to this a challenge, I can do extra activities to help my students master the grammar item, okay? So this is why I begin with the components or dimensions of grammar, form, meaning, and use, okay? And of course, I'll mention some activities that help me to make it easy. If the challenge is the form, the meaning, and use, which activities I should do with my students. I'll check the chat box. Okay, Alia. Okay, hope is it clear? Okay, so do you have any questions about this part, the components or dimensions of grammar items? Because as I said, they can be the challenges, students learning a challenge for me as a teacher. So I can identify which part, which component, which dimension is really challenging for my students. According to this, I can do the next step. I can choose the suitable activity to do with my students, okay? So if you have any questions about this part. Okay. So do you have any questions, or we can move to another point? Okay, so I'll move to the next point, which is grammar presentation techniques. And here we will talk about the main approaches, the effective grammar structure, effective grammar presentation, and the presentation component. Okay, let's start with the approaches. Okay. Okay, thank you, Alia. Yes, thank you. Okay, so now we will talk about the approaches. في مشكلة في الصوت يا رغدة. I'll raise my voice. Okay. Okay. صوتي بيقطع معاكم ولا ايه؟ ولا تمام؟ لأن رغدة واحدة بتقول إن صوتي بيقطع.
كتير يا هناء، مش واضح خالص عندي، يعني بيقطع كتير قوي.
Okay. I changed my place, unfortunately, but I think yes. No.
كده بدأ يظبط.
طب تمام.
كده بدأ يظبط.
So the first part we talked about the component, the dimension of grammar, form, meaning, and use, and we talked about what is the form, what is the meaning, what is the use, because according to these components, I can identify what is really challenging for my students. Okay, so the challenge can be the form, the meaning, the use, or all of them. Okay, and according to this, I can identify what should I do with my students to make it clear for them. Okay, so this is the first point. The second point is the approaches. Okay, so do you have any idea about the approaches of teaching grammar? We have two main approaches while teaching grammar. Can you share with me if you have any idea about the two main approaches of teaching grammar? If you don't want to speak, you can type down or write down in the chat box. We have two main approaches while teaching grammar. Can you guess what are they? Or yes,
Deductive and productive.
Exactly, yes.
Inductive and deductive, I think.
Yeah, that's right. This is right, Rauda. We have two main approaches, deductive and inductive, okay? And now you will watch a video and you will know what is the difference between deductive and the inductive way to teaching grammar, okay? So let's watch the video. Yes, Rauda, yeah, that's right, okay. So let's watch the video. Okay, here is the video.
Your online presence makes an impression. Make sure your words are as professional as you. Grammarly helps you produce clear, effective writing that drives the.
What is the deductive and inductive approach? Listen to this conversation and learn about the deductive and inductive approaches to teaching grammar.
I'm planning a grammar lesson and I was wondering something. Do you like to teach grammar deductively or inductively?
That's a good question. I usually prefer the inductive approach. How about you?
I do too. For example, if I'm teaching the simple past tense, I show students a list of words in the simple past, like walked, talked, and cleaned. Then I ask the students to tell me what is the same about all the verbs. They figure out the grammar rule themselves.
That makes sense. they figure out the rule that you add ed, right?
Exactly.
Some teachers like a deductive approach though. They will explain the rule about adding ed first.
Right. And then they would show students examples after.
So what is the difference between the deductive and inductive approaches to teaching grammar? The deductive approach involves using rules to help learners identify forms in language. In the inductive approach, learners study patterns in language to identify rules. Have you used a deductive or inductive approach to teaching grammar? This is American English. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so what do you think about the video? Can you tell me what is the difference between deductive and inductive way to teaching grammar? Yes, Rafda, go ahead. Yes, Rafda, go ahead.
I think that the video talked about the two ways of teaching the grammar, the deductive way and the inductive way, and he differentiates between the two methods. The first one, the deductive, is teaching the grammar pattern through the rule itself. And the other method, which is the inductive, teaching the grammar pattern through the examples.
Exactly, yes. That is the core difference between inductive and deductive way or approach to teaching grammar. Thank you, Rafda. And here in the chat box, Manar sent inductive way. We start with examples, rules, and then exercises, but deductive rules, examples, and exercises. Exactly. This is the difference between deductive and inductive way. Yes. Thank you, Rahma, and thank you, Manar. And here I have the same as you said. We have the deductive approach. The teacher gives the rule to the student directly. So I write the rules on the board, examples, and then we go to the practice activities, okay? So this is for the deductive. It's all about the teacher. And the learner here is not active, just sit and listen, okay? So a deductive approach, it's all about the teacher. He writes the rules, examples, then the students do the practice activities. The next approach, which is inductive, it's all about the learner. So the teacher gives the students clues or means to discover the rule, work out the rule, or find out the rule by themselves. It starts with examples and ask students to find the rule. So it's all here about the learner. The learner here is active, okay, not passive. He can't just sit and listen. No, it's supposed to think about the examples, and suppose the examples here are in a context, not only 1, 2, 3, 4 examples like a sentence like that. We have a context, and through this context, students can work out the rules by themselves according to what they have already learned before. Okay, so this is the difference between inductive and deductive approach. And here, Noha, Manar first said inductive is good for young learners. Yes, it needs effort from the teacher, but I think the result is really great. Noha said deductive, the teacher is the centered. Yeah, that's right. It's a teacher-centered approach. Exactly, Noha, you are right. It's a teacher-centered approach, yes. Manar said encourage students to be active. Yes, this is inductive approach. Yes, exactly, you are right. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Noha, and Manar, Raghda, many thanks. Okay, so this is the difference between the two main approaches to teaching grammar, deductive and inductive. Here we have some sentences about the two approaches and try to guess which approach is it, okay? And Manar said, develop students' self-confidence. Exactly, why? Because the students can notice in the examples what the teacher wanted to convey them. So I notice and work out the meaning and the rule. Yes, exactly. So let's check these sentences together. Number one, it's more teacher-centered. Which one, deductive or inductive?
Deductive.
Deductive, exactly. Number two, it's a learner-centered.
Inductive.
Inductive, yes. Okay, I'd like to check. Yes, thank you, Noha. Number three, it's time-saving and allow more time for practice the language item. Think carefully about this. Again, it's time-saving and allows more time for practice the language item. I'll save time. I'll do it directly. So it's
deductive.
Actually, yes, deductive. Yes, deductive way is saving time. If I wanted to save that, I don't have time to let my students work out or find out the rules. So it will save time if I write the rules directly. And after that, we have some exercises. Okay.
I think it's helpful in the revision time at the end of the, when I wanted to make a quick review for all the grammar items that the children learned through the term of the year.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yes, it works. Yeah, it works at the end when I wanted to just revise the rules. So I use deductive way. It will save time. Yes. Okay. Number four, it's an effective approach with lower level students. Yeah, that's right, Noha. It's if my students are low level students, it's a
deductive way.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, Raghda, deductive way. Okay, because maybe my students can't notice and work out the meaning. So it's better to use deductive way. Number five, it emphasizes the students' attention to the language form. It's all about the form, not the meaning.
The form يبقى deductive.
Yes, exactly, deductive. Yeah, because deductive, I write the rule. So I want my student to focus on the form, not the meaning. If I wanted to focus on the meaning, I use inductive way.
Inductive way. Yeah.
Yes. So if
number six.
If I want this number five, if I wanted to focus.
Number six, inductive. You yes, said it.
Exactly. Yes. If I wanted to focus on the form, I use deductive way. If I wanted to focus on the meaning, inductive way. Okay. For example, if I want, as I said, if I wanted to show the difference between past simple and present perfect, it's better to use examples in a context to show the difference, because here I wanted to focus on the meaning. My students know how to form present simple and how to form present perfect, but they still have a problem with the difference between them. When can I use present simple, past simple, and when can I use present perfect? So here it's supposed to do this inductive way because I wanted to focus on the meaning. Okay. Number seven, the learner